if you can, avoid dentists giving you excessive. They're this one dentist. Now, this is a terrible thing to say, but I went and it wasn't the dentist I wanted, and I sat and I had the worst feeling. But weirdest fucking thing, the guy. I have a recording of the story, but bottom line is, I'm pretty sure. Okay, this is a terrible thing to think about. I guess this is what we get with Venus going behind the sun. It's like, well, let's look at the terrible things. Can you have not been more pleasant talking about just the possibility, babes, that the dentists, they probably don't even know it, but maybe they do. When they inject the numbing, it's damaging the nerves in your cheeks. Your cheeks are getting all numb, and really it should just be your gums, right? But all of your cheeks are getting numb. And see, since I got mine, I'm noticing that I'm not apt to smile up anymore. It's kind of just, I really have to concentrate to bring it up. And when, see, right now I can see it. It's just like that, and when that fucking dentist, that guy, he kind of hid that needle from me, and it was a big fucking needle, and he went way in the back. And then when I started getting numb, I never had this happen before, but it pulled all my nerves, and I was like this. I was like, I tried to smile, but I kept going like this. And I got so shocked at that. I got so upset at him because it was so weird. So the next time I walked out of there, I was supposed to get a tooth pulled. And he said, oh, that nerve is the hardest nerve to get. And it's like, he went way back here. So what happened? I walked out and I even threatened. I said, I'm going to call the police just to see, just to hope that he got less sleep that night. Well, I waited 2 weeks or so to go back to the dentist that I wanted, who is an excellent dentist. He's there to do the same thing. And what he does, he doesn't pull out that big old needle and go way back here. He goes around the area where he's has to work on. It's kind of gnarly. He said he mentions a nerve that it's hard to get, but then he says, you have an unusual anatomy. And he points at my jawline going like this. And you know what? This other guy, he's a foreigner, and I don't like this shit where they're letting foreigner doctors like Muslims and stuff work on me. Babe, they don't really like women like me. I know that I'm in a strange anomaly, and so is everybody really getting influenced by America, whatever the fuck that is, but I don't deserve to be fucking, you know, it happened another time where this other dentist, he fucking, can you see it? He stitched. He cut my lip and stitched it up. I was under anesthesia, and he had to do this one thing with my gums, but what happened, I noticed that my lip was sewed to my gums. And this is something that's like, you can't believe that this is going on. I mean, is this really going on? Yes. He disfigured your face. And he did it at an auspicious time after a conversation that I don't know why I had to let him know something about my medical history that was none of his business, but had everything to do with my decision as being a woman, right? Well, I also remember, I didn't have a good feeling with that. These are Muslims stationed in areas around in these shitty cities that it's like it's fucking war machine. They're releasing this fucking agent of these by these educators. They're going to do this strategically and go in there and put fillings in your children's mouths early for what? Well, it's because you don't know that they're going to create a bunch of radiation in the air that's going to start interacting with that. They already know that stuff. You don't even know what they know that's coming. Like, oh, so far ahead, babes. These iPhones are not dispatched without having been thought about for like 100 years prior, 100 years ago. And there's something happening on this planet regarding the technology and how it's all rendering out, and what intelligences knows that. That is um, it's just far too advanced. They're never going to tell you about what I just saw. I just saw this flash of a pattern, and it's like, oh, this is the way that they're doing it. Starting out with this is a gnarly conversation. Venus is behind the sun, and it's like time to it's time to get the beauty. Just where did the beauty go? I don't know. Let's talk about the most gruesome things that are actually happening. That's the truth. It's not very attractive, is it? What else do we have? Um, Sheer manipulation of the human organism for what? What is going on? Is it really bound for space? Or are we going to get into the extraterrestrial thing? No, no. It's different than that. It's different. Yes, we are being influenced by otherworldly beings. Um, but okay, so I saw it. I saw what's happening, and guess what? Um, it's just an experiment, basically. We can consider it that. It's something that I mean, and now when I look at it, it's like it's not going to work. It's not. There's going to be system failure, and they will throw things onto the population that makes them start thinking correctly. More stress on the way so that you can start thinking rightly. Why do you need to do that? Because that's how they sustain what's left here. Like that's how you sustain yourself, and it's sometimes sent back in caves. And we don't really know history for that matter. We have as much as evidence from people who are traumatized, and we have pictures too. We could see something really comes around and harnesses people's ability to live and sustain themselves freely, and that includes their food sources being completely harnessed, if not killed off and then manipulated back into their medicines too, and the way that they put them through school. And you got to learn this certain thing. Why? What is this? But there's this thing you can see where people are watching TV, the TV realm. Just think of how many people got into the TV sets. How many? And how that okay, let's just say some people were living and they said, like my great grandpa, he never wanted to go on an airplane, had no desire. He says, that's the worst thing that could ever have happened to mankind. He lived on the back of a horse for 14 years of his life first, until that horse died. And he just said people were happy when he died, like his wife and stuff, because they could finally go travel the world on a plane. But anyway, there were people that disagreed with having the technologies, or a car and stuff like that. Like stuff that came on TV. How about they just weren't going to be integrating themselves into that lifestyle that said, I'm going to work to get the money to get the TV. You have to first create those kinds of people because it's just like this anesthetization. Run for it, get it. Ah, I got it. So they had to get rid of these people that could see. They said, I don't want to do that. You're not going to have me do that. And that was the indigenous people of all lands. So then getting them hooked into, hi Zen, I'm so glad you're back home. Fuck. So getting back to the way that they inserted television sets onto the population and made them used to screens. That's pretty much what that would be. Includes now through these screens, you're going to be able to see what's actually happening out there. Your concerns are airing right here. All of the stuff that we're progressing on, boy, we're going to show you everything, the history of things, and everybody's studying everything fucking 9 times over again. Includes, let's talk about climate change and how, let's look at these things dying over here, and let's start controlling your perception. But the main thing is, yes, look at this screen, look at this screen. So it becomes a ho hum, like you're just completely jaded to the screen. By the time this screen comes on, you're not putting it together like, oh, wait a minute, I have my own screen. And the way that reality shifts with people being able to look up at the same thing, 1 million people looking up at the same thing, like chemtrails, versus one entity talking about something 1 million times and reinforcing it into somebody's perception. You hear what I'm saying? Say it again. People are not thinking about the difference between when you have your own camera and there's like 45 million entities pointing at one thing in the sky, like chemtrails or something, versus one entity saying or being able to broadcast 45 million times something. And that's supposed to be they've they've made it to where it's like, no, this is a serious deal. We're going to tell you about what is our concerns here on the planet. You don't know what they are until you look at it. First of all, you had to go to school to learn it too, and then now what? Go watch TV, the news. There is one thing that's going to interrupt your programs. Listen, special bulletin. We got to know why we're going to war and what's coming next with that. And then they start testing people like, how much can you control them with that? And you're fully locked in because you're channeled into a completely different lifestyle. You are not even on the earth anymore. Remember, it's the indigenous people just sucked into now. And so now with the screens, they don't even think about it. Like now you have these, why was it important to hijack the screen thing and just make it they're trying to get you to believe that that just they want you to not even think for yourself, period. So by the time you get the ability to think for yourself and have a way that now free information will be coming through here, like people who have thought about it and actually got down to things, and they've been that one entity that controls the 45 million broadcasts, so many ways that they will say it, they are intercepting what they need to as much as they can. And that's what the purpose of 9/11 was, when they called attention to all of the journalists who, oh my God, a lot of questions that they had, and there was a lot of muting right on the scene. People said, don't ask us where the tower went. Come here, get out of here. Men in Black, they just silenced every bit of the wonder. Every single clear perception was wondering, where did the towers go? So did I. I was like, what happened to them? That was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of building implosions. And you had to have so many fucking questions, and journalists did. And there is footage of journalists going out saying, walking up to investigators, and they're going to have their own conversation about, like, well, where did the towers go? And then Men in Black say, excuse me, get out of here. Shut up. That's not even a valid question. Yes, it is. Why is there only 5 feet of rubble there? And why did it sound like it's just an hourglass of sand falling down on a fucking piece of tinfoil when all of that was happening? What the fuck just happened? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, they shut all of them off. They kept shutting them off. Worldwide, down to the little man right at the fucking scene of the crime. You know, if you can imagine how hard it would be to stop things from coming out on social media, which they have succeeded to pull it away. How? Well, people thinking on their own and questioning things are less in numbers than people that live in fear and say, no, this is the way it is, and you better just follow that, and isn't it safe there? What are we going to do? And I think we just have to have patience, because whatever's working on the population, that eventually just scoops up all these people living in fear because they're fully harnessed, babes. Fucking tosses them out. Causes a little stress, right? Like I said, it's like, was that an atom bomb, or was it just meta? Or was it the chemtrail, or was it the fucking shortage in food? Well, what's left? That stress happening? They start thinking rightly. You should be doing it now. What's the main 3 things that we need to think of each and every day? Or else, if we don't think of these things and land them down, if we're not thinking about them every day, you have most likely gone mad. You've gone, you're useless to yourself. You're now kind of, you're walking like this, and you probably have a fixture in the back saying, now do it like this, now do it like that, and do it like this. Guess what those 3 things are that you should have locked down, or you have gone completely mad? Number 1 is safe shelter or land. Just, can you live on the earth? Number 2, you remember me, right? The one that wears the see-through shirts. Number 2 is, what am I talking about? 3 most important things, the only thing that you should be thinking about ritualistically every day, and everything you're doing is to make sure that that is your capacity to control the land that you live on, to work, that has water on it. Number 2, water, land, water. Food. Grow food. If you're not thinking about that and throughout your daily routine, like directly, look, I changed the filters today. This water is good. How are you today? Do we need to add some more coral reef or whatever? If you're not doing that, babe, you've went cuckoo. Now imagine that, if that's true. What do you think about the Earth's population now? The key to this, babes, is just think. Close the curtains, shut the doors, lock them, turn out the lights if you have to. It's safe.